Parshas B'Shalach. This year is dedicated in memory of Shimon ben Mordechai HaKohen. The Parsha begins with a description of the Exodus and talks about God leading the people around out of the wilderness. Vayasev Elokim ha'am derech hamidbar Yamsuf. He led them in the wilderness by the Red Sea. And here's the part of the verse that I'd like to focus on. Vachamushim alu b'nei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. Vachamushim. The children of Israel went up chamushim. What does chamushim mean? So first of all, chamush can mean armed. And this is what Rashi says. His first explanation is ein chamushim ela mezuyanim. They were armed. And others, Onkelos says that they were quick. Zerizim. They went quickly. Others say that they had ample provisions. Now, here's a midrashic explanation that Rashi cites. Rashi says davar acher. Another explanation. Vachamushim muchumashim. They were, the word chamushim has chamesh, 5. So he says echad mechamisha yatzu. 1 out of 5 left. Va'arba hachalokim mesu b'shloshes yimei afela. And 4 out of 5 died in the days of darkness. 4 out of 5 Jews died, according to this Rashi. Now listen to this. This is based on a Mechilta. There's actually a Tanchuma as well. In the Mechilta, there are various opinions. Rashi quotes the lowest ratio, 1 out of 5. There are additional opinions. 1 out of 50 left. The other opinion is 1 out of 500. And Rabbi Nehorai says, according to the Vilna Gaon's text, 1 out of 5,000 left. Whoa, so let's do the math. I did. If it's 1 out of 5, well, we know that there were 600,000 just males of military age. 600,000, probably a couple million total. But let's just talk about the numbers that are counted. 600,000. If 600,000 is 1/5, then you multiply that by 5, and that's the number of Bnei Israel that were there. That's 3 million. 3 million Jews were there, minus 600,000 gives you 2.4 million Bnei Israel died. Now wait a second. If you say 1 out of 50, that means 30 million. If you say 1 out less 600,000. If you say 1 out of 500, that's 300 million. If you say 1 out of 5,000, that's 3 billion. 2.99, etc. died. Billion died in Egypt. Well, this is a little challenging. It's challenging for a couple of reasons. First of all, the Ibn Ezra says, how can this be? The Torah itself doesn't say that they were that the Bnei Israel during Choshech, during the plague of darkness, were busy burying their dead. As a matter of fact, it says that to Bnei Israel, Haya or b'Moshe Rasam. L'chol Bnei Yisrael Haya or b'Moshe Rasam. For all the Jews, the children of Israel, during the plague of darkness, it was light. It doesn't say anything about their being depressed or busy burying the dead. Now, Rav Schwab asks, so that's what we would call perhaps a stira, a contradiction with another verse. Rav Schwab asks the following. He says, according to Rashi, they died during the darkness so that the Egyptians wouldn't notice their death. Now, you could say that about a handful of Jews, a handful of people who died during darkness and they were quickly buried. But it's hard to say it about millions, and we venture to say it's impossible to say it about billions. So Rav Schwab says, how could it be? How could it be that so many people died? So many Jews died in Egypt? Were there that many Jews in Egypt to begin with? So he offers a suggestion based on a Rashi explaining a verse in Bereshis. Verse in Bereshis talking about when God, Hashem, confronts Cain after Cain murders his brother Hevel. And he says, famously, Vayom Hashem el Cain e Hevel achicha. Hashem says to Cain, where is Hevel, your brother, Abel? Vayomer lo yadati. He said, I don't know. Hashomer ochi anochi. Am I my brother's keeper? To which the Almighty responds, Vayomer. Melasi. So he says, what have you done? Kol demei achicha tzakim elai min adama. Your brother's bloods cries out to me from the ground. It doesn't say kol dam achicha, the voice of your brother's blood, but it says demei achicha. And Rashi jumps on that. And he says, his blood and the blood of his potential descendants. And this is also based on a medrash. So the blood that was spilled was not just the actual physical blood, but it was the blood of the children that Hevel was never able to have, and all the descendants, ad sof kaladoros, until the end of all time, because his brother Cain had killed him. So Schwab suggests that the Medrash is commenting that even if there were just a few Bnei Yisrael, a few Jews, who died because they did not want to go up, they were perhaps evil people, they rejected the redemption, they identified so much with the Egyptians that they didn't want to leave for whatever reason it was that they died during darkness. A small number, a number that wasn't noticeable. But when you factor in their descendants, the number is staggering. And there's a lesson here. Rav Schwab points to something that happened in our lifetime, or just before our lifetimes, during the Holocaust, where so many Jews were killed. And he says, think of all the descendants that could have come from those who were killed. It wasn't just 6 million Jews, but it was their descendants and the descendants after them as well. Now we can take it out of the moros and put it into a somewhat more applicable and perhaps inspiring sense. There was a Rosh Yeshiva in Yeshiva's Torah V'das. His name was Reb Shlomo Heiman. My father got smicha from Yeshiva's Torah V'das, and Reb Shlomo Heiman gave him the smicha. He signed on his smicha. There's a story about him in 1945. There was Rav Shimon Schwab was an Eloi. He was a very, very brilliant Torah scholar, and he was the Talmud Muvhak of Rav Baruch Ber Lubavitz, who was the Talmud Muvhak, which means the principal, or either the principal or a principal student of Rav Baruch Ber, and Rav Baruch Ber was of the famous Reb Chaim Brisker. And it is related in one of the books I read, I believe it was The Making of a Gadol, that Reb Chaim Brisker had nachas from Reb Baruch Ber. He was pleased with Reb Baruch Ber once he saw Reb Shlomo Heiman. When Reb Chaim saw that his student's student turned out like Reb Shlomo Heiman, then he had nachas from Reb Baruch Ber. So Reb Baruch Ber was sent to by Reb Chaim Ozer Grodzinski at the request of Reb Shrago Feivel Mendelovich, who was at the helm of Yeshiva's Torah V'das. And he asked for a world-class Talmud Chacham, and Reb Chaim Ozer sent Reb Shlomo Heiman. Reb Shlomo Heiman was, by reputation, a fiery teacher. He got very excited, and he worked very hard. And there was one day in, I believe it was 1945 or thereabouts, where there was a huge snowstorm in New York, and out of all of the Talmidim who normally filled the classroom, there were a total of 4 that day who trudged to the yeshiva. And Reb Shlomo Heiman came to the yeshiva, despite the weather, to teach. And one of his Talmidim, Rav Moshe Samuels, who himself became a Rebbe in Torah V'das, asked Reb Shlomo, after he was giving his usual fiery class, he said, why are you straining, Rebbe, why are you straining yourself? There's only 4 of us here. And Reb Shlomo said, do you think I'm just teaching you? I'm teaching your Talmidim and their Talmidim as well, with the implication, ad sof kaladoros, forever. When we influence somebody, whether it's as a parent or as a teacher or as a neighbor or as a friend, we aren't just influencing one person. We're influencing all those who that person will touch. This is a awesome responsibility. Whenever we talk to anybody, think of the ultimate implications that we can have, and a fantastic opportunity to have a lasting impact. Shlomo Heiman never had children, but his impact was profound. He had numerous luminaries as students. My father was his student. My father influenced me, from, among others, Reb Shlomo Heiman. And now you. Ad sof koladoros. For all the generations This is our mandate, and this is our mission. We are influencing not only our children, not only our students, but those who come after them as well. Ad biaskoel, until the Mashiach comes. B'mehira v'yameinu. Have a good Shabbos.